All right, my friends, we are back. Let's get into the next phase of our picks here. Let's take a look at the injuries. And first of all, let's get to some of the transaction wires first up. So some names, of course, we talked about Michael Bandy, Dwayne Wallace, a former guest on the show. He's been activated. He went from DC to the Brahmas, offensive tackle. Nick Holly, a guy that we all were excited about. He got released by the Arlington or the Houston Roughnecks. Nick Holly was a 2020 XFL guy. He's released. Some other guys, I mean, just released. DeAndre Torrey went on running back for the Vipers, went on a reserve list. Jamar Summers was a cornerback that was recently signed by the Vipers. That was made some news this week. Of course, the Luis Perez trade for Ryan Mueller. Josh Avery was released, defensive tackle. Lance Lenoir was on the reserve. And Marcel Aitman, a guy that we were really high on during the beginning of the season, is back with the St. Louis Battlehawks. So that's something to keep in mind on. Katie Cannon, who played with the DC Defenders, he got signed by the Arlington Renegades. Of course, Kyle Sloter is out. And then, if you didn't hear last week, by Kalen Balaj getting hurt and getting injured there. So that's kind of what the transactions were this week as far as injuries going on for the teams this week. For the Seattle Sea Dragons, Liam Jimmons, offensive lineman, is out. Somebody was asking me about Morgan Ellison being out for the season. He's questionable, so he's still around. I don't know where that came from. Kind of surprised me a little bit as far as the Arlington Renegades, Jordan Miller and Bumani Rotimi, XFL 2020. They're probable and questionable. So no big names kind of here with the Seattle Sea Dragons, Arlington Renegades. Remember, that game is Friday. That's tomorrow. So keep an eye on that. Next up, St. Louis Battlehawks, Houston Roughnecks. Marcel Aitman, of course, we talked about him. He's back and limited. No big names here. All these guys were kind of limited in practice. They are a little bit later on the docket because of the travel, playing the DC Defenders Monday Night Football. Let's go San Antonio Brahmas and Vegas Vipers. Out Norman Price and Matuma. Offensive line, you hate to see offensive line. Also, Calvin Turner, foot, did not practice. He is also out. Travis Tovin, head, he was back in full, so he looks like he'll play. Jack Cohen, questionable right now, but he had full practice on Thursday. So I would assume Cohen is the guy with Kurt Benkert as the backup. I'll have to see how that goes, but looks like Cohen is a go. DeAndre Torrey, running back for the Vegas Vipers, he is out. Geronimo Allison is questionable, but he was limited in practice. Martavis Bryant did not practice, even though he was he's sick. And Sneak Sweeting, who played well this week, he was limited in practice. He's questionable on that side. As far as the DC Orlando game, DC Defenders have a bunch of guys on that. Let's see here. Everybody seems the only out is Jaquez Ezzard, wide receiver. Though he's more of a special teams guy, hamstring. He is out for the game. Everybody else is probable. Mike Maietti, offensive lineman, who's played great when he's been not injured. So he is looks like he might be questionable. He's been kind of banged up all season. And for the Guardians, David Moore, offensive line, is out. But none of the big DFS names are going on there. They seem to be all right. On to the let's take a look at the depth charts. We've got on the Arlington Renegades side, of course, Javonta Patton, who played okay. Victor Bolden is behind him. When is Victor Bolden going to move up? Drew Plitt is looked to be the starter with Kevin Anderson as the backup, and Luis Perez is the third string. I mean, he just got in there. Devon Smith always played well. Leedy Brown is the backup. Brian Herrian, who appeared on this show, he is the third string guy. We'll see if he is activated for this. Brandon Arcondo and Tyler Vaughns is back. So really would love to see Victor Bolden move up to that number one wide receiver spot. If I'm Drew Plitt, I am trying to work it with Victor Bolden, former USFL championship MVP. Got a chance to interview him after that game. On the Seattle Sea Dragons side, what the heck happened to Josh Gordon? I'm a little worried about Josh Gordon. He has done nothing the last 2 weeks. Damian Willis will be his backup, but he's still listed. Ben DiNucci is the guy. They've been running with him. Darius Bradwell is the starter. Morgan Ellison is the backup, so stay away from Ellison. Ja'Cour Pearson, of course, is a guy, and Blake Jackson and Juwan Green are all guys. So, I mean, those three guys have been playing really well. So maybe that's why Josh Gordon, now that these guys are playing well, teams are focusing on Gordon, or I don't know. But there is the Arlington, and that's your Friday game. Next one, your Saturday game at 1. For the San Antonio Brahmas, Travis Tobin is your guy there. They have Jack Cohen as the starter and Kurt Benkirk as the backup with Jawan Pass. I'm sure Jawan Pass won't be activated. Jaquez Patrick is a guy who's going to get a lot of touches on the running game. TJ Vasher and Landon Akers are your other two wide receivers. But Jack Cohen has not looked good at all. I would assume Kurt Benkirk, they're going to put him in as quick as they can. But he did not look good. But, I mean, it was just a day. Now he's had a day. Can he get it together? We'll have to find out. On the Vegas Vipers side, Jerome Allison is your starter. Jalen McClendon with Brent Hundley is your backup. Rod Smith, of course, the running back, has played well. And Jeff Badette and Martavis Bryant. Great. Jeff Badette is a guy. So if I'm Jalen McClendon, I am looking for Jeff Badette all day long to get him. For the Orlando, D.C. game, that is Saturday at 6 p.m. At Camping World Stadium. Quentin Dormandy is your starter. Paxton Lynch is your backup. Jermaine Martin is your starter, even though Devin Darrington had a good game. Cody Latimer is a guy you want to have in your lineup. Eli Rogers will be starting. Dan Williams III. Charleston Rambo, also a guy. So these got wide receivers. And I'm really a fan of Andrew Jamil from Fan Control Football, which I'm a little concerned if Fan Control Football is going to return. Just kind of throwing that out there. DC defenders, Damian Willis, Josh Hammond on the offensive side, and Jaquez Ezzard, but we just saw that he's hurt, so maybe this moves Jazz Ferguson up as a wide receiver, and Lucky Jackson has been a guy all season long with Chris Blair also, but he's on his backup. Abram Smith and Jordan Tamu, of course, also guys this season. They've all played really well. So there is your depth charts. We don't have the depth chart for the St. Louis and Houston game as of yet. We also have, this is